So today's book club is DC Presents 87. It was Matt's book he chose, and take her away.
Okay. Superman is sitting on Earth's moon mourning the loss of his cousin, Kara. For those that don't know, Supergirl. Spoiler alert, Supergirl died just before this book, if you didn't know. Suddenly, a spaceship carrying members of the Superman Revenge Squad passes over the moon and picks up Superman on their monitors. Taking advantage of Superman's current vulnerability, they shoot a beam of energy at him, which ends up transporting him to a parallel dimension. Superman arrives on the Earth known as Earth Prime, which he has visited before, so he knows where he is. He also knows that Earth Prime does not have any superpowered beings. So he flies over a village in a New England town, in New England, where he finds a boy dressed in a costume similar to his. He discovers that this is Clark Kent, a non-superpowered teenager from this planet, but he recognizes that this guy actually is from Krypton. Superman introduces himself. Immediately, Clark Prime's Kryptonian heritage kicks in, and he has superpowers that are just out of the blue. He has superpowers for the first time, and he begins to demonstrate them to see how it feels, because he didn't have them before, right? Calling himself Superboy, he flies with Superman, and they save the town of Hampton Beach from a tidal wave. After stopping the disaster, Superboy sets out to help his older counterpart return to his native dimension. To do this, they need to first stop a small invasion from a group of aliens that are from the Polaris planet and from destroying the Earth. Following a small fight, Superman and Superboy use the technology they managed to steal from the Polarians as they disappear to cause a vibrational tuning device to work, opening a vortex back to Earth 1. Superman goes through the vortex and finds that the Superman Revenge Squad is still waiting for him. They zap him again with their weaponry, and Superboy disappears in a surprise move at the end of the story. And that's where it leaves off, because it continues. Superman's part continues in the next issue of DC Comics Presents, and Superboy goes to Crisis and ends up with Crisis. That's from this book. So the writer was Elliot S. Maggin.
Hey, Matt, I got to ask you: Are you not going to
read the second part as well?
Because the second part was his origin.
The second part was his origin. I didn't think we were doing the second part.
Kind of. I feel like it's.
But
I feel like it's both
to
to
the
be
second
covered
part real
because
quick. The second part follows Clark Kent when he was Kal-El on Krypton, and how Krypton was destroying. It was about to be destroyed, and Jor-El, instead of sending him by rocket, creates a teleportation machine that sends Superboy to Earth, where he is discovered by Clark and Martha Kent. He also ends up.
But it's not Clark and Martha. No, it's not Clark and.
Sorry, not Clark and Martha. John and Martha Kent. Sorry.
No,
No,
it's Jerry and Naomi.
No, her name is something else.
Oh yes, Jerry and Naomi. That's it. Yes, it is Clark. They name him Clark.
Yeah,
that's her. Okay. All right, I'm opening it right now.
Her last name is Naomi Clark with an E, and then she says, "I'm going to drop it, the E." Yeah.
Oh yes, I skipped that part. That's why I went straight to the Krypton part when I opened the. But yes, so
Hmm.
they end up adopting the baby, who has a regular childhood. No idea he's an alien, by the way. I mean, because they found him in the bushes.
He even gets hurt. He even gets hurt and stuff.
Exactly. He gets hurt. He plays baseball. He gets hurt. He starts dating the next door neighbor, Lori. And when he gets dressed up as Superman, and she dresses up like a mermaid, and this is for a Halloween
Mhm.
party or whatever. Her name is Lori Lemon, and when they drive to the beach, he feels the sudden urge to jump up the skies and discovers he has powers, which happens to be the moment Superman is flying by New
Well,
England.
he actually the first time he face plants, but
Yes, but he
he
gets
does it
up again
twice.
and it works. Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, there's
But
your origin. I thought we were only doing the first half.
yeah, the
Sorry.
other thing, yeah, the
Well,
other
to be
thing
fair,
that's important, I think, to mention is that he on his planet, Clark Kent, everybody knows as a comic book character for Superman,
Yes, and that's why he had the
and
Superman
so
outfit
and
for the comic.
yeah, so that's why they kept on teasing him, and he kind of grew up being teased about his name,
Yeah.
and
well,
he sort
Matt
of,
picked the book,
kind of
so
took it
if any
on.
if anybody knew what to read, it would have been Matt because he picked. But if you guys want to do your review on
No,
both,
that's fine. We've covered both parts now.
No, 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 no.
The second part is pretty short and is the same. Anyway, as I said, the writer's Elliot S. Magan. The pencils are by Kurt Swan, and the inks are done by Al Williamson. This is a 1985 book, November 85. It was it literally was the introduction because the very next issue of Crisis was Crisis 10, and that's when Superboy Prime first shows up in Crisis. Supergirl had died in 7. So that part I remember. That's like, so.
How did Supergirl come back? Just quickly, I just curious.
Okay,
Just curious,
Supergirl
how did she
came
come
back.
back?
Okay, Supergirl was gone. Crisis happened.
Yeah.
Post Crisis, the Supergirl came from another Earth, and it was the Lana Lang of another Earth, who had
Oh, okay.
powers of shape shifting, and thus could shape and other unknown powers. So she turned herself into a female version of Superman because she was very grateful for him. First of all, she was a girl at first. Her name was Matrix.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
then
Wow, really complicated. Okay.
in the third series of Supergirl, okay,
Mm-hmm.
Matrix ended up mixing and merging with a person by the name of Linda Danvers, who had taken her life, and she happened to be right by at that moment. So rather than dying, Linda Danvers ended up inside with Matrix as a double thing. So
Okay.
Matrix ended up using Linda Danvers, as her secret identity to whatever.
Okay.
And then later, after all this Infinite Crisis and stuff happened, they brought Kara Zor-El back
Okay. Good.
in Superman Batman 8, the actual character.
Okay.
With the change that she was older than Clark, that she was sent along at the same time, but to
Yeah.
look
But she was
after
older.
him. Yeah, to look
Yeah.
after him, but she got caught in suspended animation. They used the Power Girl story.
Yeah. That
Correct.
actually, the Supergirl story that you just said there is the one that they use in the TV series.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Because that's the current one. Okay, so
Okay.
this is a pretty decent story. I mean, considering what a big badass Superboy Prime becomes later, the fact that his origin is so tame and he's so nice
Mm-hmm.
in the book is an absolute shock to me what he becomes later. And it's during the events of Infinite Crisis that he becomes evil. Okay, so no one knew that 10 years from now, Superboy Prime was going to be the universe's worst villain, replacing the Anti-Monitor.
Mm-hmm. Is he the one that is it Superman Prime? That's the one. or Superboy Prime. That's the one in that previous book that we read, they were like worried, oh, who is this guy that's going to take over the world and destroy the world and blah blah blah. And Wave Rider basically was thought it was Superman.
It's a possibility, but they weren't using Superboy Prime at the time. At the time, Superboy Prime was in the Paradise Dimension with Superman Earth 2, Lois Earth 2, and Alexander Luthor from Earth 3.
Wow. Okay.
He didn't come out until Infinite Crisis when he punched his way out of the dimension. It was crazy. It's comics.
Okay.
So
it's comics. Okay.
I will say the
A
writing
lot
of the
continuity
story.
to keep track of.
The writing of the story is pretty good. I mean, they took an element, Earth Prime, during the crisis of Infinite Earths, and found a way to even bring Prime into the multiverse by doing this.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Prime does get destroyed in the crisis. It happens. It happens in the last few pages of 11, I believe, just as they're wrapping it up, and all the Earths become one. Right. So. I love the fact that now that we've done the origin thing, I love the fact that he's Clark Kent and that he lives to this, he's a comic book character. I mean, think about anyone in the real world named Clark Kent that was born after 1940. You don't think they're not named after him either? But
Mm-hmm.
the main story where Superman helps him and the tidal wave and stuff, it feels like it's I'm free, and now all of a sudden this trouble is happening and I'm right there. So it was a little too convenient that they happened to be there as a tidal wave was coming in, although they did mention it was happening before Clark knew he had powers.
They warned.
They were warning them going to the beach. So that one is there. But the aliens, being on another vibrational plane, so they couldn't be seen by anybody that wasn't super. That was a little interesting as well. But the story itself is only, I'd say, a 3.5, because it's a decent plot. It's a decent execution, but it's lacking just a little bit. It feels like it was too coincidental. Oh, I just happened to run into Clark Kent. Oh, he's got powers now. Oh, we rescue everybody just in time. Big crisis.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but I think I missed your cover score.
Oh,
yeah, you skipped over
he's just
cover
talking
and
about the
interior
story.
art.
My fault. I went to writing first. Cover is really cool. I'll give the cover a 4 because I'm a big Kurt Swan fan.
It's not a Kurt Swan cover.
What?
It's not a Kurt Swan cover.
It's not?
Eduardo Barreto.
Wow. Sure. Well, he did a good job.
In a Kurt Swan style for sure.
That's what I'm saying. It sure looks like Kurt in his later years. So I still give it a 4. It's a great cover.
Okay. 3.5 on story.
Yeah, and on the inside art, well, it's Kurt Swan, but he's not working with his best inker, so I will give that a 4 as well. If it was Kurt Swan with Murphy Anderson, it'd be a 5.
Okay. So a 4.
Overall, the book is a 4. It's a fun read. It's an interesting read. But the biggest problem with this is you need to know what's going on in other books before, and you need to get the next book to see the resolution of the Superman plotline. And it takes another month before you find Superboy as well. So it feels a little unresolved, and therefore it could have been a 4.5, but those little parts make it a little less as far as I'm concerned.
Cool. Great job, Matt. Who would you like to go?
I'm going to ask D to go.
Cool.
Get
in there, D.
Hey, so we've all been victim of this before. Superboy Prime is like one of my all-time favorite villains of comic books. I think it's really cool. Like, it's later explained that his power set is something equivalent to Silver Age Superman. So his powers are just
Unlimited.
bonkers. Yeah, it's wild. I love the idea of Earth Prime, and it's our Earth. Earth Prime is meant to be the real world. So uh, really cool concept, and I think um, it gets explored better in the future. Here it's just introducing a new character who's not even meant to be a bad guy. At this time, they're just giving Superman a buddy to help him out. So I'll give the cover. I'll give the cover a 3. It is not Kurt Swan. I did double check that after we talked. I looked at 2 different sources. It's not Kurt Swan.
Okay.
But it definitely mimics his style. Kurt Swan does the interiors. So I get where the confusion is there. But yeah, the cover's a 3. It's fun. It's good.
I
But
do like I should have mentioned this before. I do like on the cover that the 2 Earths are similar but not exact.
yeah. And for me, it's not my favorite Superman design. And the art is fine, but I like Superman's S to be bigger, and I don't know. I always felt like the Kurt Swan era Superman was a little chubby looking. Um, and he looks a little hefty on the cover here. You can see that
He's very broad.
super.
Yeah.
Yeah, you see, but dude, hey, if he's still muscular, it's not that he's fat. It's just he's a weird shape. For Superman. But interior art, I think there's a lot of good stuff in here.
Oh yeah.
Like that.
His body's good, but his face isn't.
Well, no, but Kurt Swan does Superman's face a little bit differently, and I'm not going to hold that against him. It's
And
the
also
way he
he's
does.
had so many different inkers over the years. You can tell like when it's a different inker. This is
I love this panel where like Superboy Prime is like just flying upside down in the air.
Yeah.
And it's like, hey, who are you? and Matt, you misspoke a little bit in your recap. Superboy Prime started to fly just a little bit before he met Superman.
Yeah, he just sort of naturally did it. He just sort of floated up.
Yeah, a comet flew overhead, and he just felt like he just started to like lift up, and then like he floated up, and that's when Superman bumped into him. So
I feel it was the encounter with Superman that may have done it, because there's the thing I'll say this about DC that they don't always talk about, but it's sometimes in stories. Contact between people of different Earths can sometimes trigger different effects in people.
Innate abilities.
Innate abilities.
Yeah, and that very well could be the case. It just like you can see it here. He's walking on the beach. He's walking on the beach, and this comet flies overhead, and then he points at it, and then he just starts lifting up towards it. So
yeah,
that's when he first started to fly. And then in the very next panel, a recently teleported Superman goes, "Hey, you look Kryptonian as fuck, bro. What's up?" And then they start hanging out. So, but from there, the interior art, I want to give that a 4. I like it a lot. It was fun comic book art to me. The story I struggled with a little bit. And Matt, you spoke on that with like the huge coincidence that his powers kick in just as this tidal wave is coming and these aliens are attacking. Like, and I think that was almost by design. I think they wrote it to mimic the Superman of yesteryear with the happenstance and the coincidence. But just like I don't give it a pass when I read like a Silver Age book or a Golden Age book, I don't give it a pass now. It's not my favorite story. But then there's the second part of the story where they do his origin, and I like that they change it. It's not Jonathan and Martha Kent that find him. The Krypton is doomed in a slightly different way, and he comes to Earth in a slightly different way. I like those changes. It adds to the story of like he didn't grow up with powers and learning to master them and have good parents that are like, hey, you got to be chill with all that. You can't be like he became Superboy one night after like a bad night at prom or the Halloween party. Like it wasn't a fun night for him. And then he gets
Party.
like, and you'll get this in the story. This is after the story, but he gets thrust into an interuniversal conflict, multi-dimensional conflict that eventually eliminates his Earth. So I get how he becomes a villain, 12 years later or whatever. Like it makes sense to me. But the origin was cool. If it was just the first story, I would give that like a 1.5. I like the origin a little bit better, so I'll give it a 2.5. So I had a cover of a 3, interior art 4, story 2.5. I'm gonna go overall 3.25.
Okay. And who would you like to go next?
Next, I'm gonna go with Alan.
Okay. Hold on one moment, Alan. 7, 9.5, 12.75 plus 15.5, 12.7, 9.5, 12.75, 27,
fingers to do that?
28.25. All right, I got it, I think. I'll double check.
He has at least 12 and a half
I
fingers.
gotta get my toes out. Go ahead, Alan.
Okay. So I thought this was interesting. I found it the first story I found very confusing, to tell you the truth. There was like a thing where they were talking about worlds being like, having different times and all this kind of stuff. They were talking about this weird version of the world. I thought that was interesting, but I didn't know what the point of it was, to tell you the truth.
Well, it says right on the on the cover about the Crisis crossover. So I mean, like that.
So it's still that kind of
Crisis.
weird thing.
One of the first signs of the Crisis was that time was all happening at once. So you had dinosaurs in the middle of Metropolis fighting the Legion of Superheroes.
Okay.
And Sergeant Rock and Easy Company.
Okay, so there's a few things like that were a little confusing.
Yeah.
Superman, there was just like you said, Matt, there was a lot of things where it was very coincidental. They get zapped by these aliens that are just sort of pissed off at Superman. and the weird thing is, like, they zap him and then they just walk away. Basically,
Shit.
It's like, oh, okay, we zapped him. Yeah, it was just kind of like, okay, good for you. It's really weird that they did that. And then,
this is one of the things you need to know before you read the story. Is about the Superman Revenge Squad. It's a group of alien criminals who, at some point, have been put in jail by Superboy or Superman, and it started in the days of Superboy. It started in the Superboy stories, the Superboy Revenge Squad, and every so often they go and try and kill him, and if you fail, you get killed by the rest of the people at home. So it's a die or die situation.
Well, the only reason Superman or Superboy would want to go at the Alien Revenge Superman team is because they falsely claimed that they killed Supergirl, which was a lie.
Yes. No, actually.
So yeah, so they actually are happy that Supergirl's dead, and they're like, oh, we don't have to worry about her being,
Yeah, and they want to take advantage. They think Superman's mind is going to be elsewhere, and they want to take advantage. They're trying out a new ray. They were surprised. They thought it was going to again, the built up in another story. They thought it would kill him and send his atoms everywhere. but it ended up just sending him to another
Well,
dimension.
I thought they knew it wouldn't kill him. They just knew it would send him somewhere else. That was the whole kind of joke. Is like, why'd they make a raid to just send him somewhere when they should have made one to kill him?
Well, then there's definitely a bad continuity error because in the Superman stories in the months before it, they're talking about going to kill him with this ray that can
Okay.
send. Like again,
All right.
so maybe they discovered it only works this way. I don't know, but and
All right, so there was I found the first story a little bit all over the place in terms of that. Like, just, you need a little bit of that extra information. I read Crisis on Infinite Earths like several years ago. I just don't remember how it connects to this story. But the first story I thought was a little bit weaker than the second story. I felt like the second story kind of made the first story work. Like, I felt like it kind of filled in gaps that the first story
definitely.
had. So the cover, I actually like the cover. I'm going to give it a 3. I'm not saying it's the greatest cover ever, but I thought it was a cool cover. Superman meeting Superboy and, the two versions of Earth. I thought that was cool. I always like when the character that's being introduced in the comic is on the cover of the comic. That's always a bonus to me. So that's why I give it a 3. The interior art actually was quite good. I actually give that a 3.5. I thought it was very solid all the way through. So for me, the interior art was a 3.5. The story, I feel like you have to give it 2 scores, like 1 for the first story, which I give a 2, and the second story I give like a 3.5. So kind of the average of the 2, I would say, like, let's say a 3, to kind of be nice.
Yeah.
So I would give the story a 3, just because the second story was so much better than the first story. I didn't like, there was like so many things that didn't make sense in the first story that just drove me nuts. Like, all of a sudden, Superboy Prime is getting pulled away for some reason. When they fight the aliens, there was like, it was just too convenient. I don't know. There's like a bunch of things. It was just, everything was just the tidal wave thing. They did one. The weird thing is, again, the second story makes the first story better. So the tidal wave actually gets explained in the second story rather than the first story.
Mhm.
Because it was when they go out, in the second story, they say, oh, we're going to go to this party at the beach. And they get warned by the security guard at the beach, I guess, that says, oh, there is some storm thing happening. That was in the second story. So when you read it in the first story, it just seems very contrived. So
You said it right earlier, Alan.
I feel like they were
It's
kind of
all
filling
over
all
the
the gaps.
place.
What?
Yeah, you said it right
Yeah,
earlier, Alan.
so,
It's all over the place.
Okay. So I'm just trying. I'm just, like, but it was readable at the end of the day. So I gave it overall a 3 for the story.
Okay.
The overall book itself, I give it a 3.
Okay.
I think all my scores were 3, so I think it's a 3.
No, you gave the art 3.5
I
inside.
gave the interior art slightly higher, but I feel like
Yeah.
because of all these awkwardnesses, I'll give
12
it
and
a
a half
slightly lower
plus
score.
28, 40, 40.75. Is that 69? Go ahead and pick your next guy. I'm sorry.
Okay, I guess we'll go with TM.
All right. 0.75 TM. Let's get old TMster on the screen. Thank you, Alan. Great job, guys. Go ahead, TM.
All right. So Alan mentioned it earlier that this story is definitely all over the place. And I totally agree because, like, you start off the story with, oh, this is happening. Oh, wait, this is going to happen. Oh, this is happening. It had so much happening all at once, and it was kind of all over the place. And also, I feel like the stories were not put in proper places. Like, the ending story definitely should have been at the beginning, and the beginning story should have been at the end.
Yeah.
It just felt very confusing, and I've read Crisis and that, so I know what's going on there. But it was all really all over the place, in my opinion. I was hoping I would enjoy this. I was excited for it. I was a little let down because, like, yeah, it's way too confusing at points. It's convenient, like everybody said. So I'll go with the cover. The cover is all right. I do not like Superman's face on the cover. His hands are kind of blocky. I will give the cover a 3 because those are the only issues with it. Other than that, Superboy Prime is really drawn good on it. I like the little planets on the bottom and that they're the 2 balls at the bottom. So yeah, I'll give the cover a 3. Interior art, I didn't enjoy as much as you guys did. So I will have to give the art a 2.75. And then the story, like I said, it was a lot all over the place in that I just didn't overly enjoy it. I did enjoy the second part better than the first, and I feel like if they let off with that, I would enjoy the second or the first part a little bit better.
Yeah, I
because
felt like the story should have been reversed too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it definitely would have made it a little bit more enjoyable, a little bit more of like, oh, this is what's going on, and that give us a little bit of an idea. So overall, I give the story a 2.5. So overall, 2.75.
Oh man, fractions. I love it. All right.
Just bring out your fractional fingers and you'll be fine.
All right, my turn. Let me drag my ass into the center. All right. Let me add this up real quick if you guys don't mind. 40.75, 2.75. That makes 43, 46, 48.5, 51.25 is where we're at right now. All right.
Hey, more important than that, Bradazzle, thank you so much for subscribing to my channel. You can expect almost no content, unfortunately. But I hang out on this channel every fucking chance I get. So I still appreciate the sub. Yeah, so it doesn't hurt you to stay sub, but don't stay sub thinking you're gonna get a new video every week, because I don't do that anymore. But I love you, appreciate you.
Okay. So for the cover, it's a good cover. It was a fine cover. My cover is almost perfect. It has hardly anything wrong with it. And I'm not going to give it a better score because I have a high grade. But I'm going to keep this close because I have something I want to point out. Better than average. I think 3 is the solid number for this cover.
Hey, don't poo-poo on the back cover either.
I think everybody is
There's
giving
not
the
much on
cover
the
a
back
3.
cover.
Okay.
It's got an action figure ad for Superman and Lex. I like it.
Yeah, I do like those.
So first thing I want to point out is this part right here. You see that? With Lana.
Lori.
Oh,
I
it's
think it's
Laura.
Laura. Yeah.
Laura in this one.
Lana.
I thought it was Lori.
I think it's
Yeah,
Lana.
It's Lori.
It's Lori Linney or something like that. It's a double L. So
Yeah,
Well,
they have to. Yeah, because it was Laura Lane or something.
Lana Lang.
No, it's Lana Lang. But what was the other? Like, what's the mermaid one's name?
Lori Lamaris.
Lori Mars. I knew it was like double L as well. He likes
Well, yeah,
his
they're
double L
always-
girls. Lois Lane as well.
it's the same as later in the book. It's right here too. It's exactly.
Yes. But we have different contexts now.
Okay.
It's the only benefit. Yeah.
A little lazy. I mean, it's a flashback. What do you guys want to call it? It's
I
exact
actually
same.
didn't think it was lazy. I thought it gave context, which is something that
Okay.
was useful.
That's cool.
What would have been cool too if they could have mixed the stories with like Superman sees him. But what led up to this moment? Let's look back a couple hours and, you know,
Yeah,
and
yeah. I
put
mean,
the story in the middle. Even
Another thing I want to pull out about
if they merged the two stories somehow, somehow.
yeah,
it,
Yeah,
it
I want to hear Biggie's review though.
Sorry.
I'm trying to squeeze it in there. So if you look at her, she's pulling a tail up right here. You notice that?
Yeah.
She has a tail. Maybe if I give you a better panel.
Well, she's a mermaid.
Right, but some of the panels you don't see the tail. So on these panels you don't see the tail at all. Some of the panels you see the tail. Did you guys notice that, or am I the only one? I could show you if you didn't
Yeah.
notice
So it looks like a bikini. It looks like a swimsuit in other panels
it.
rather
Right,
than a mermaid costume.
maybe
right.
so.
I think she might have dumped the tail somewhere along the line.
Maybe
So
the
some-
tail
Yeah.
was on fire.
Yeah, they don't cover that, but it does to me also look like it's like a detachable part of the costume, and it's
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
sometimes. And when you're done with the party and you're walking on the beach afterwards, you might leave it alone.
Yeah,
That's
so-
Yeah, she's not gonna waddle up and down the beach.
So some of the panels she has a tail and she's kind of holding it up, and some of them you don't see anything at all. So
well,
that's
there's a bonfire scene. I think she leaves the tail at the bonfire.
kind of weird.
Okay.
Leave it her-
Okay, the bonfire scene. I mean, I don't know
Yeah.
exactly what you're. I mean, I remember there being one. Yeah, there's one right here.
But yeah, is
And
the
it-
tail left there?
No, I don't see the tail exactly. No, I see like a head where the tail would be.
Oh, okay.
That's
I'm just
right here.
curious.
But yeah, there's no tail.
Uh,
But some
but that's an interesting thing to pick up. I didn't know.
yeah, like right here, you would see the tail if she had it, right? No tail on her right there. No tail. So it's like there's tail and there's no tail. You kind of gotta look at this book like story. The way they should have done it was start with some of story 2 to begin,
Mhm.
and then mix in some of story 1 and just make it one whole story. That's my opinion. Then you don't need the flashback. You don't need the explanation for certain stuff during it for part 2. It's like they made part 2 to make story 1
Makes
more
sense.
understandable and more of a better origin. So I think it's a little it's not confusing, it's just not done well. It's not done well. And the inside art's pretty good. I like Kurt Swan. I love Kurt Swan. Not his best work. There's some good panels, and there's a little bit of I don't know if they're trying to make you confused, or they're just trying to they didn't know the layout that well. I don't know, but the art didn't work for me. Like, just stick to what
It
you
wasn't.
and don't fucking mix it up.
It wasn't just the inker or the art or the colors either. In that, some of the line work in the art wasn't the greatest either. So.
The girl, she either had a tail or she didn't. One point she had a robe. A little fucking late.
He's stuck.
Maybe
on the tail.
maybe Superboy tried to get a piece of tail off her and got the wrong
Yeah, I
one.
think so. I think that's what it was.
I don't know. There was some good stuff in there, and there was some stuff I felt like they could have done better. I think that some of the times with the Superman and Superboy, you could kind of get mixed up with which one's Superman a little bit.
I got confused a couple times with that.
A little
Yeah.
bit.
Especially when they're talking. It can get a little confusing.
Yeah, I know. I found some of the hardest parts and the worst parts of the art was the word balloons in some panels were not pointed correctly.
That's what I was trying to get at. Yeah.
So the alien team that's trying to get Superman, they kind of have a cool origin and shit, but it's not a very smart team either. It's not like they're you knew they weren't going to be able to compete.
We're gonna
Put
see a
that
tape
out-
pull
No,
live on camera.
Superman's best and smartest villains work alone.
Biggie, is that going on the same side of another book?
Oh, yeah, my fault. It's the wrong bag.
Good catch, Steve. Good catch.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you.
Fuck me, bro. You're not.
Okay, remove the tape before you put the comic.
No. I trust Biggie. I've never seen him do a tape pull before.
Alright.
I trust Biggie.
Alright.
I wasn't going to damage it. I was just fucking
Wait until-
pushing it in a bag. But
Alright.
I do an
Slide the tape
accidental tape pull in an upcoming video. It's terrible.
damn. So the alien team, you know, I had to find out about they said that Supergirl, they killed her to get Superman's attention, and they're this team, and then they had to they made this laser that transported him instead of killing him. It's like they're a fucking E-list team of scrubs. You probably never hear of them
They
much.
are not. What they're not showing is this is the remnants of the team as well, because there was a storyline in the mid 70s where Superman infiltrated and actually managed to take down the vast majority of the team and get them behind bars.
I feel like this character will be good later when he does his turn, but for his first appearance in Origin, not one of the greatest first appearance in Origin stories.
By the way,
I
is
think
that a
that's fair to say.
Chunko Comics shirt that you're wearing?
I do. I got the
Chunko.
chunk.
Chunko, yeah.
Yeah, beat y'all to it.
He sent me one, but he only got to me. He's only getting to mail it tomorrow because he got to go actually to the post office because he's got to fill out the custom form.
Oh, what he should have done is sent mine with yours. That would have made more sense.
I think I'm getting one too.
I didn't like there's a few panels where he had, like right here, like the line work right there. They just put lines, and down here on his thigh. I don't like that look that much.
Agreed.
Just something to
Well, it
bug
has
me.
your Kirby crackle. It has your Kirby crackle.
No,
with
I
all the
don't.
lighting.
No, you're wrong. Yeah, that's Kirby never did that. I'm sorry. So I think Dee's right. Like it's a little chunkier. I think some of the panels were top tier shit, but a lot of them weren't that spectacular. So I'm just going to give my grades. The Origin was, like I said, if they would have made the second story beginning of that start, and they would have mixed it in, and they could have made a good story out of it if they'd put different spots in different places. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Just because it's all fucked up, I'm just not going to give it a great score. So the cover, I gave it a 3. The inside art, I'm going to give it, I'll give it a 3. I liked it. The story, I'm going to go average. Nothing too fucking great for me to be like, oh, that was awesome. And the girl, like the girl with the tail and the shitty suit.
Just say something.
And
It's so distracted by that tail.
for me, it just fucked it up for like the whole thing.
Hey, I want to yell at Biggie and be like, that tail is detachable and not important, but it's Biggie's review, so I can't fuck with him on that. That's his review.
Mean, that's the whole thing. Like, do y'all know that is it her costume or is that her?
No, it's
she
her
is.
costume. She's not a
Biggie,
real
they-
mermaid.
They do literally say that she's dressed as a mermaid for a Halloween party.
Oh, it's a Halloween
So,
thing.
like, yeah, so that is a real thing. And you're right. The tail is not there all the time. I do think it's detachable, but
Actually, there's a later story where they it's like a 7-part series where they explain the missing tail. So
That's right.
you just needed to read that.
damn it, Alan, I hope battery acid falls on your head.
All right,
You
so now we are at overall, and I'm gonna give it a 3. So that's my scores. I'll give you all the total. Now we can all talk about how we enjoyed it. Go ahead. Final thoughts.
Hey, this book is cool enough. Like, I like it. Dude, you know how I like this book? It's the best way to have this book.
Mhm.
It's a graded 9.8 copy. I don't have to open it up and read the story. The story's okay. I think it works much better as a graded slab.
I have
It's a first appearance of a big character, and he's on the cover. So that is like a check and a check right there and I think it's much better with the book closed up and never opened.
TM's copy, unfortunately, has been hit by the Revenge Squad. It is now in another dimension.
I could have been a little bit more harsh,
I
but it's Superman and Kurt Swan, so I know he didn't do the cover, but I'm pretty generous to those two things by themselves. So
Well, I didn't. Okay, I'm so used to Swan doing the covers, and it looked enough like him to me. I didn't look it up. I feel stupid now.
No, dude, whoever like the Eduardo Barreto that did the cover art was obviously trying to do Kurt Swan style. Like he was doing his very best Kurt Swan impression. And there is a big comet that came through in the cover and in the book that is also on the cover. The two Earths are there. There's a lot of lightning, and you have the two big characters from the series. But on the back, you've got action figure Superman.
yeah, so our total was 62.75, Matt.
Okay, I'll get that on there.
Let me make sure that was 62.75.
Okay.
And the book we're picking next, Deadpool 20.
Nice.
Deadpool 20.
Oh, yeah.
Which
I knew
Deadpool
this.
20?
It's the Dugan run. So I'll get the year for y'all.
Let me just look up right now.
DC Comics presents.
You've been wanting to do this one for a while, though. This is the one where he kind of does the Superman thing, and he talks a suicidal teenager from jumping.
Yeah, 2016 Deadpool issue number 20, the world's greatest comic magazine.
I'll put it in the chat, guys. I found it.
All right, I'll accept that.
I like the story more than anything. I don't know what y'all are going to think, but I'm just trying to get more Deadpool comic reading in the world. That's all. My whole point there.
It literally is the middle of the pack, slightly on the bottom side, but it's pretty much the middle of the pack of what we've done so far. It's on par with Wolverine 75 is right above it, and Batman 121 is right below it.
I have no idea where I put my copy. I'm sad.
Maybe yours has also been blown to another dimension by the Superman Squad.
I added it to the chat. I don't know why it's showing a different cover than what the actual cover.
So let me see the book
Once you
that we're
click on
doing.
it, it's the right book.
We're doing a book that ain't that popular, but it's what I want to do.
It's Gwenpool again or Deadpool?
No, it's Deadpool.
Deadpool.
Deadpool issue 20, 2016, Marvel's World's Greatest Comic Magazine.
Okay, it's good that we can fill out the bottom half of the best books here.
It's a quick read. I think that it's either going to be surprisingly good or a complete dumpster fire. So we'll see what y'all think. I ain't going to spoil it.
I'll give it a chance.
It's a fast read at the very least.
You guys,
if it's a modern book, it's a fast read.
Yeah.
I got to read a Superboy story from the Silver Age this week that involved cats in the Phantom Zone. So
there you go.
Well, everything.
See?
Because
this week we're going to get out of here kind of quick. Me and Dee's got to do another show, but we can hang out in the back and talk a little. Check us out later, guys. I hope y'all had a good book club. We'll be back with the Deadpool issue, and see y'all soon, man. Check y'all later. Breaking news. #enjoy.